This is question 11 of civil engineering paper of K 2016 forenoon session. In the consolidated undrained triaxial test on a saturated soil sample, the pore water pressure is 0. So, in this question it is asking that in the consolidated undrained triaxial test, that is in CU test, the pore water pressure is 0 at which time? So, there are 4 options given, we need to select the correct option. So, this question is from the topic of triaxial test in shear strength. So, you may study about triaxial test and its type in detail in lecture 32 shear strength soil mechanics geotechnical engineering 1 by Professor Dilip Kumar Baid, IIT Kharagpur. So, there are various tests to find the shear strength parameter of soil. The triaxial tests are one of those tests from which we can calculate the shear strength parameter from of the soil sample. So, as you can see, this is the figure of triaxial apparatus. So, in the triaxial test, a soil sample of length to diameter ratio, of 2 is prepared. So, generally 2 standard sample size are used, which is 76 millimeter by 38 millimeter, and the second one is 100 mm by 50 mm. So, these 2 are the standard sample size which are used in the triaxial test. So, there are a cell initially, you can see this is a cell. So, in this empty cell, in the very beginning, a soil sample of length to diameter ratio 2 is put in this cell. Then, on this soil sample, a confining pressure is given with the help of this water. So, you can see a water is provided in this cell with this as you can see in the figure. So, a definite amount of cell pressure is fixed and which acts as a confining pressure on the soil sample. Then after applying the confining pressure, this soil sample is given an additional axial stress. So, the load or the extra axial stress is calculated or is observed with the help of proving ring or load transducer. So, you can say that this soil sample are exerted 3 major principal stress. So, the sigma 2 and sigma 3 are same, which is equal to confining pressure, which is given with the help of water, and this is called confining pressure. So, after application of confining pressure, an additional axial stress is given, which is called deviator stress. So, we can find the major principal stress as sigma 3 plus del sigma. This is the stresses at failure. So, these soil sample are given 3 major principal stress, sigma 2, sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3, where sigma 2 and sigma 3 are similar, which are called confining pressure. Now, this test is done in 2 stages. In the first stage, confining pressure is developed on this soil sample. So, this soil sample is given the confining pressure, So, in this stage, the consolidation of soil sample also takes place if consolidation is allowed. So, we will study when the consolidation is allowed and when it is not allowed. So, you can say in the first stage the confining pressure is given to the soil sample, and in the second stage, the additional axial stress is given, that is said deviator stress is given, and due to shearing takes place in this soil sample, this is also called shearing stage, shearing stage. So as you can see in this slide, in the first stage the soil sample is set in the triaxial cell and confining pressure is applied, and in the second stage an additional axial stress is given to the soil sample until the soil sample fails. So based on the different field condition, this triaxial test has three types which is conducted in the laboratory. The first is called Unconsolidated Undrained test, or it is also called as UU test. So in this test, in the first stage confining pressure is given to the soil, and then without allowing consolidation, in the second stage this additional axial stress is given. So it means in UU test no consolidation takes place and no drainage of water also from the soil sample does not takes place. So we can say for UU test no consolidation and no drainage of water is allowed. So in this test cell pressure is applied without allowing drainage, and then keeping cell pressure constant, deviator stress is increased to failure without drainage. So that is UU test. The second one is Consolidated Undrained test, that is it is also called as CU test. So in the CU test, in first stage confining pressure is given to the soil sample, and due to that confining pressure a pore water pressure is generated in the soil sample, and there is a drainage path is attached with this soil sample. So due to this pore water pressure developed, this soil sample is there will be a tendency of consolidation. So what happened, we allow a drainage, this drainage path is kept open and consolidation is allowed in the CU test in first stage. So due to consolidation, if consolidation takes place, so we know if the consolidation takes place, so with time the pore water pressure dissipates. So what happened at the end of consolidation, the pore water becomes zero, the pore water pressure becomes zero. So we can say at the end of consolidation the pore water pressure becomes zero and this drainage path is kept closed. So after closing this drainage path, and the second stage starts, it means the additional axial stress is given to the soil sample. So that is second stage. So we can say in the CU test, in the first stage the confining pressure is given to the soil sample and consolidation takes place due to pore water pressure developed in the soil sample. And at the end of consolidation, when the pore water becomes zero, we keep that drainage path closed and the second stage starts, that is additional axial stress starts, and further no drainage is allowed in the test. So that is CU test. And CD test is the first test is very similar to the CU test, that is when the confining pressure is given to the soil sample. So due to that pressure, a pore water pressure developed in the soil sample, due to which consolidation takes place if that drainage path is kept open. So with the time of consolidation, what happened, the pore water pressure becomes zero. So pore water pressure becomes zero at the end of consolidation. So at the end of consolidation, when the pore water pressure becomes zero, that drainage path is kept open and the second stage is starts, that is additional axial stress is given to the soil sample, and in the second stage the drainage path is kept remains open. So we can say the drainage is allowed in the first stage as well as in second stage in the CD test. So now coming to this question, in this question it is given the CU test, that is consolidated undrained test, when will be the pore water pressure zero. So as we just now discussed that In CU test, what happened? In the first stage, confining pressure is given, and due to this confining pressure, a pore water pressure developed in the soil specimen, and due to this pore water pressure, consolidation takes place when this drainage path kept open. This drainage path is remains open, so water is allowed or drainage is allowed from the soil sample. So with the consolidation takes place, the pore water dissipates and it becomes zero at the end of this consolidation. And with the end of at the end of consolidation, this drainage path is again closed and the additional axial stress is applied, due to which again pore water pressure develops. So we can say in CU test, the pore water pressure is zero at the end of first stage, that is at the end of consolidation stage only, which you can see in the option B. So option B is the correct answer for this question. Thank you.